Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. So, it's the last day of the Christmas break before we head on over to the second half of the season, basically. And the Vancouver Canucks are first place in the NHL at the Christmas break. A clear 2-point lead. They lead in points, not point percentage, but regardless, they're still first in the National Hockey League. So, we're going to take a look at them today. We're going to show you guys, obviously, where they are currently in the standings, their overall player stats, and what their upcoming second half of the season is going to look like. So it should be a pretty interesting video. Stick around to the end. So, first off, let's go through the basic team stats. The Canucks have played 35 games, have a 23-9-3 record for 49 points, and have a .700 points percentage, and they are first in the Pacific Division, the Western Conference, and in the NHL. And I don't think a lot of people expected this. I don't think a lot of people really expected for Vancouver to be in the spot where they are. A lot of people really kind of thought that they were going to be basically a team that more or less was, kind of like how they were last year. Like, they really weren't going to be that big in the standings. They were going to be at the bottom, towards the bottom, because that's just how people thought of Vancouver at the start of the year. A lot of people didn't see them to be a team that would be the way they are now, but they've had a really good start to the season, and that's helped them out in obviously being where they are now. And that was what I mentioned in my season preview. I said that the biggest X factor for this Canucks team isn't any of the players, it's the start of the season. So how they determine the start of the season will be how they determine their entire season. So, yeah, overall, it's been a very good start to the year for Vancouver. I've really liked the way they've played under Rick Tocchet. They're tied for first in wins. They're seventh in total losses. They're first in points. They are only second in points percentage. I believe the Rangers still have that lead over them for the best points percentage in the NHL. So, yeah, the Canucks, they're still number one in the league despite that, but they have themselves a really good year so far. They've scored 135 goals. They have let in 89. That is unusual for Vancouver. The goaltending last year was not great whatsoever. Demko had a really rough season. But this year, it's been a lot better. Demko's kept them in a lot of games. DeSmith, too, in the backup roles played pretty well. We'll get into them in a little bit, but still. And it seems like as well as that, the scoring is there as well. Like, a lot of the players that are on this team are having career-like seasons. The best seasons of their careers at this point in the league right now. They have a 24.17 power play percentage, which isn't that bad, comparatively speaking. They have a 77.14 penalty kill percentage. Their penalty kill is very good. There are a lot of good things to mention with Vancouver. Their special teams is definitely one of them for sure. They're 13-3-1 at home, so they're a very rough team to beat at home, which is why I'm worried about my Flyers going there on Thursday. Definitely that's going to be quite a game to watch. The Canucks being a really great home team and the Flyers being a good road team. The Canucks are 10-6-2 on the road as well, so they're winning on the road when they need to. They overall play really solid. They average 3.76 goals a game, which I believe is first, I think. That's a really good stat line. That's an estimated amount of 4 goals you're scoring per game. Unheard of in Vancouver. And then goals against, 2.47. So you're letting in an average of 2 goals a game when you round it up. So overall, they're playing really well, and they deserve the hype that they're getting. And it's about time too, because so many years of just this team, just being at the bottom of the league year after year after year after year. If it weren't for the bubble, they would have missed the playoffs like 10 straight years. It's been that brutal in Vancouver. And thankfully this year, the hope is they will stay where they are and they will make the playoffs, but before that, it was just a really rough time for Canucks fans, and I really do feel them a lot. Your leading scorers on the Canucks goes as follows. And again, as I mentioned, a lot of these players are having career-like seasons. JT Miller is one of them. 35 games played, 15 goals, 33 assists for 48 points. It's hard to argue who the best player is on Vancouver right now. You would say Miller points-wise, but you could argue some other players here too. And it's crazy that they almost traded him at midway through the season because obviously, he didn't have a good attitude under Bruce Boudreau. And I think Rick Tocchet really fixed him. Rick Tocchet really set him straight and told him how things were going to work. And, Miller definitely improved from that. And it's great to see overall because he was nearly got traded after a really rough season last year and a really rough time for Canucks fans overall. But thankfully, Tocchet seems to have fixed everything. Next in scoring then is Quinn Hughes. 35 games played, 10 goals, 34 assists, 44 points. Quinn Hughes, I think, being named captain has been massive for Vancouver, and he is really going to be in contention for the Norris. He really could get some votes. He could even become a finalist, too. It's really possible we see him get some good hardware for the Vancouver Canucks for sure. He's most definitely their best defenseman, one of the best captains they've had in a while. And he's done a really good job at obviously assisting this team in their incredible run. As well as that, too, Elias Pettersson's looked great as well. 35 games played, 13 goals, 30 assists, 43 points. There were a lot of rumors that Pettersson may not have wanted to stay in Vancouver, and there were a lot of rumors that Vancouver could be going on a teardown after this season. That's not happening now, and the more that Vancouver keeps winning, and depending on what the playoffs look like for Vancouver, there is a very strong chance that Elias Pettersson will stay in Vancouver. The hope is, at least, that he will. Fourth in scoring is Brock Boeser, and Boeser has had a really good season so far. 35 games played, 24 goals, 14 assists for 38 points. Boeser's highest career total in goals is 29. He's never had a 30-goal season. I think he breaks that this year. We're halfway through the season, and he only needs 6 more goals to break that career total. So he's most definitely going to get to the 30-goal mark. And it's good, too, because the past couple of years have been some really rough seasons for Brock Boeser, and it's good that he finally used this year to kind of turn his career around a little bit when you look at that. Sorry about that. Had to sneeze. But overall, yeah, Boeser's done a really good job this season at really turning his career around in a very good bounce-back season. And as well as that, too, and arguably a career year for him, for sure. Next up, then, Filip Hronek. Hronek is 5th in scoring. He's been a really good acquisition for the Canucks for sure. Has really helped out that blue line. He's got 35 games played, 2 goals, 27 assists, for 29 points. Great numbers for Hronek. Arguably their second best defenseman. And that was one of the issues, too, that was brought up at the start of the season, was their defense. Could they fix their defense? And bringing in guys like Ian Cole have really helped out this roster. Guys like Pia Sutter, too, and Teddy Bluger, other guys who, don't play huge roles, but play those minor penalty-killing roles, have done a really good job at helping out Vancouver and their overall stretch so far this season. And they deserve a lot of credit for what they've done. As well as that, too, I do want to bring up Kuzmenko, because there is this kind of rumor that's been brought up with Kuzmenko. He's been scratched a couple times, healthy scratched a few times, because I don't think Rick Tocchet is a big fan of him. I don't think he is. So there is a very strong chance that come the trade deadline and they look for someone on the market, Kuzmenko could get moved. I'm not saying Kuzmenko is a bad player whatsoever. He has 19 points through 30 games played. But still, hopefully the comeback game against the Sharks will help out his case. But overall, it's not looking so good for him right now for his future in Vancouver. I hope that changes, though. I really do hope it, because I like Kuzmenko a lot, and I would love to see him stay in Vancouver for sure. You look at your goaltenders then. Your goalies go as follows. You got Thatcher Demko. Demko had a really good season. He's been great for years. Last year was a really rough season for him, but this year has been a lot better for Demko. 25 games played, a 17-7-1 record for a 2.46 goals against average and a .917 save percentage. He will get Vezina votes for sure. Definitely is going to be one of those Vezina finalists. Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to what Demko is going to do a lot with Vancouver for sure. He's been one of my favorites for a very long time. And honestly, too, I forget about him a lot. There's a lot of goalie ranking videos that I've made, not just on the channel, but also on my TikTok account. But I always forget about Demko. Always. And I'm not going to forget about him this year, I promise. With the way Vancouver's playing, I promise I won't. Yeah, next up then, Casey DeSmith. DeSmith has 11 games played, a 6-2-2 record with a 2.44 goals against average and a .923 save percentage. So overall, he's done very good as well for Vancouver as a great backup. He's come in games and has won them games too. He's come in on back-to-backs and has won Vancouver them. So he's been a great backup for the Canucks that was acquired, I believe, right before the season began, in fact, too. So he's been a really good acquisition for the Canucks. As I mentioned, there are going to be trade deadline moves that this team probably makes. However, they don't have any cap space to make any moves. So as of right now, They might stay put, but I doubt that. They're probably going to buy in and try and find someone, and maybe Kuzmenko's the guy that gets moved, or Tyler Myers as well. And Myers, I think, has looked better this year as well. Has definitely fixed some of his defensive structures he had in previous years. But yeah, overall, right now, I don't see any reason why this team doesn't make the playoffs or doesn't stay in first. Maybe because they are 2 points ahead of Vegas and the Rangers and all that, but those teams do have games in hand. Again, games in hand don't really mean anything unless you win them, so it's very possible that Vancouver loses this lead. It's really possible, but I'm not gonna say they are, because I think this team's a really good team this year. They feel like last year's Devils, kind of, and I feel like they really could go on a run if the things go right for them, for sure. But yeah, overall, they're a really good team. December, they only have one game left in December, and it's against the Philadelphia Flyers, as I mentioned earlier in the video. So definitely the Flyers have been a very good team as well, so they're going to be a tough team to face at home. But definitely, I think Vancouver can definitely get the win for sure. I think they can. January's a little bit rough for them. They do have a 7-game road trip and then a 5-game homestand. So they're going to be away for a while, and then they're going to come home for a little bit. So definitely that's going to be interesting there for Vancouver. But yeah, the Canucks look great right now. Let's hope it continues. But regardless, let me know your thoughts down below on Vancouver. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button if you are new. And obviously, thank you all for the support this year. I really do appreciate it. Only about 5 days left in the new year, so definitely looking forward to what 2024 is going to bring for this channel and my overall platforms. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.